What's going on, guys? Welcome to a very special coast-to-coast episode of Asian Guys Talk About the NBA. Andrew's in LA.
Woo!
I'm in New York.
Yep.
We had a incredibly crazy offseason this year in the NBA, and we're going to talk about it.
David, I know that we are miles apart, but that does not stop us from talking about the NBA because we love this. Let's talk about it. All right, David, what was the biggest move of the offseason that just happened?
The biggest move of the offseason is that Kyrie Irving got traded for Isaiah Thomas and a bunch of other people.
Okay. Just for the people, let's get this straight. So Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and Brooklyn's 2018 first round pick is sent to Cleveland for Kyrie Irving. For one person. You sent four people.
Yeah, and I would say that those are all four people that would people would want on their team.
Yeah, those are four value-adding people, assuming that the 2018 first-round pick, which is looking like a good draft class, is actually going to be a solid pick, a solid person. I mean, most people would say the Cavs came out on top by far.
Well, it's funny because the Cavs are going to really hope that the Brooklyn Nets are horrible. And Andrew,
right.
you've got a Jalen Brooklyn Nets jersey on right now, and they just got D'Angelo Russell. And think about it, everybody in Cleveland is hoping that Brooklyn is horrible. So
but Brooklyn's not going to be that horrible. But Brooklyn's not going to be horrible because they got Mozgov.
Yeah, that's true. That first round pick might be like a 12.
Well, so pretty much
it's going to be a top 5.
No, it'll be in the top 5. But pretty much people – so the Cavaliers are hoping Brooklyn sucks this season so that they have a higher chance of getting the highest draft pick as high as possible.
It's probably going to be Michael Porter Jr.
Probably somewhere up there, right? So that would be great for Cleveland. Also,
because they need somebody to replace LeBron because for sure LeBron's out.
Right. I don't think there is going to be a replacement for LeBron. I think there's just going to be someone that fills his position.
If they get Michael Porter Jr., that's everybody says that's the next LeBron.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But I gotta see it. But pretty much, I would say though that I think initially people are going to look at this trade and be like, oh my gosh, the Cavs, like it was a steal, right? But if you do look at it, Kyrie wanted out of Cleveland, right? He really didn't want to play there anyways. IT was going to ask for the max contract for sure. What was that, like $25 million next year or something? And then he also actually kind of has a bad hip. And you're also looking at it like, if I keep running my team through a 5'9" guard, which now IT is with LeBron, so he's not only the 5'9" guard running the team, he's a 5'9" guard running next to LeBron, which makes more sense now. But yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying that Cleveland's falling apart because Shumpert asked for a trade today too because he figured he wasn't going to get any PT behind Jay Crowder.
I honestly don't think you need Shumpert though. Jay Crowder was one of the only few people who could actually guard LeBron in a way, and now he's on LeBron's team. So pretty much, it's funny because to me, the Celtics and Cavs, the Celtics were, you could arguably say, first of all, they were a 1 seed last year, but really nobody thought that they were better than the Cavs. So it was Cavs versus the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. But now you would say it has even dipped even farther into the Cavs' favor. So now the Celtics really just got to shoot to beat the Cavs. There's no way they're even beating the Warriors. So it's almost like, I feel like the Celtics took a small quarter step back.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the Celtics though, man, I mean, with the addition of Gordon Hayward and to see if Jason Tatum, the rookie, if he develops, they got a pretty good team. Jaylen Brown's developed too. That Jaylen Brown's emergence is what made Avery Bradley expendable. And then they traded him for Marcus Morris, who is, I mean, kind of inconsistent, but sometimes
solid. No, he's solid.
Sometimes he'll give you 20 and 10.
I feel like it was a step back for next year, but maybe the year after it's a step forward. Like, you know how like we're talking about all these young guys, like really Jason, like we're going to rely on like, you're going to say a rookie when it comes to beating the Cavs or making it to the finals. Like I think for the short term, I think the Celtics are thinking, okay, next year we might not do any better, but maybe the year after because we got some young, talented guys. So,
long story short, I thought it was a good trade for both teams because Isaiah was already out in Boston because they didn't want to pay him. And then Kyrie was already out. LeBron's probably out. So the Cavs are really setting themselves up for the future. But they still have a chance to win the championship next year.
I think the Celtics are really setting themselves up for the future. Not next year, though. Next year, they're not doing any better. But the year after, I believe so.
LA Lakers and Pacers have a tampering issue. The Pacers are calling Magic Johnson tampering with their superstar Paul George. So basically the Pacers as an organization is super mad that, they can't hold on to their superstars and they're filing a tampering complaint against the Lakers.
And the Pacers are so petty.
Why did Magic go like this though?
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Magic was being really cheesy that interview. I remember watching that when it first happened, which was I believe a couple months ago, and I thought it was really weird. I saw that clip and I was like, I don't know if you're supposed to really make those jokes if you work in the back office of the Lakers. That was like, and he was cheesy. Hey, come to the Lakers. And it was just like, come on, man. Like, you got to be more professional than that. But they're using that pretty much as evidence that there was tampering because, I'm not going to lie, though. Was not Jimmy Kimmel kind of like, he baited Magic into that. It's so funny. He got him so bad. And like, Jimmy Kimmel, so do you ever talk to Paul George? Like, what is it like when you see him? Oh, yeah, we could talk about stuff. We say hi. I'll wink at him. Oh, God.
And then he said the joke like 3 times. Like,
no, he played it up so much.
And then he dapped up Jimmy.
Like Jimmy, like it was a private conversation between the two. I thought it was funny, but I don't think it's a big problem for the Lakers. I mean, whatever. The Lakers pay a fine. You know how much money they got? Like, this is one of the richest basketball organizations ever. So it's just like, Magic's probably like, my bad. Keep it moving.
Just the fact that it's Magic Johnson, they're not going to do anything to him because Magic contributed so much to the NBA. I mean, his superstar status also kind of protects him a little bit because that looks terrible for the NBA to go against Magic, who helped build the NBA.
Right. And he owns a bunch of 24-hour fitness and super sport. So I don't think it's a big deal to the Lakers. I mean, that's just some news. I think
I do think he's got to be more careful from now on, though.
I think he learned a lesson, but I also think, you're talking about Pacers, a small market team, losing their superstar and feeling some type of way, even though it's not like Paul George went to the Lakers. I mean, he's on OKC right now. So anyways, I don't think it's a big deal. But let's talk about Paul George on OKC in exchange for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. David, what's your take on it? How good are the Thunder right now?
All right, here's the really interesting thing. Kyrie was going to leave next year anyway, right? But Paul George was going to leave next year anyway, too. But it didn't seem like they got a whole lot in exchange for Paul George, OKC. The Pacers didn't seem like they got a whole lot. Like Victor Oladipo, overall, you wouldn't count on him to carry any load. And Domantas Sabonis, he is a nice piece, but he's real just like a role player. He's going to be a solid role player. So they didn't really get much for Paul George.
I felt the imbalance. I think Paul George leaving the East and going to the West was huge because Paul George was really top 3 players in the East? Top 3. And one of the top 3 players just left and went to the West and joined forces with the best player of last season. And I think it's going to be a crazy fight in the West, man.
Well, you could say that they have 2 of the top, arguably 10 players in the NBA.
Okay. Yeah. And it's all in the West, and the West is getting heavier. You look at the East, they only got Gordon Hayward as far as from the West. And honestly, Gordon Hayward, he's an all-star, but he's like a fringe all-star. I'm kind of with you on that. I think, obviously OKC is Pacers didn't really do much, so I don't know what's going on. I think that's they're especially salty because what did they get?
It'll be interesting to see how Russell and Paul George gel. They're both LA guys. They're both from the LA SoCal area. So theoretically, they should have a pretty good understanding of each other. And overall, if you look at OKC's projected playoff berth, I mean, it's like at a 4 or a 5 from an 8.
Yo, this year, that's what they're predicting. Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, they jumped up a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of it depends. I still think they probably need one more piece if they're going to even be 4th seed. Overall, OKC came out on top.
OKC came out on top. All right. Chris Paul to Houston for a bunch of people. Chris Paul, one of the greatest point guards of all time. Now, I have my criticism of Chris Paul myself, and I've always had it, and I've stood by it. Now, of course, I love Chris Paul at the same time. Used to have his shoes, but I've always been critical of him. He goes to Houston to play with James Harden for Pat Beverly, Sam Dekker, Lou Will, and a bunch of other people.
Yo, that's crazy. They traded
there's 5 other people there. DeAndre Liggins, Darren Hillard, Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Wiltshire, and then a 2018 first-round draft pick.
All right, first of all, some of those players getting cut from the Clippers.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even come with pictures. Like, I didn't even see the picture. I don't even know what these players, the other 4 players, look like.
All right, I would say that Houston didn't lose much, and they gained a lot. And then the Clippers got a draft pick, and then they got Pat Beverly, and I don't really know how it makes the Clippers any better, to be honest.
No, I don't think it's not better for the Clippers, but I think the Clippers were looking at it like, listen, Chris, we've given it some years. You are great. And I think the Clippers, if they want any shot at winning, or to maybe return back to the Blake Griffin days, like to kind of go back to that, because I think there was just like the Chris Paul era, I think, of the Clippers is over. I mean, like David, like you always said, after that time that's Stephen Curry made him fall at the baseline, that was it. Chris Paul he was leaving at some point. But I actually think Houston is really good because you putting the best point guard of all time. Now also Chris Paul is known to, have his weaknesses or his decision-making questioned in the clutch sometimes, taking all those shots. But he's with James Harden, which is also a person who can share the ball. So these two people can share the ball. I think a lot of people are like, oh, how are they going to play together? James Harden was a point guard. I'm like, James Harden's really a 2 guard that can pass. And then Chris Paul's a point guard. So I think they're going to figure it out. I mean, these are 2 really, really good players. And I think that Houston has a shot to beat the Warriors. Not in the playoffs, but I could see them taking the season.
I just think, if you look at Houston, I mean, they got a lot of firepower now. If you look at the Clippers, I think that's the one team where you have Blake leading it now, and nobody knows where they're going to end up. I think most people, but here's a hot take. I think that Houston's going to be worse this year. Yeah. I think there's a chance that Houston could be worse.
Do you think it's growing pains, or do you think it's just the matter of CP and Harden, like it's just not going to work?
It could. I just feel like they're going to start arguing.
All right, you know what it is? They might. There's a chance they're not even as high of a seed, but I actually think in the playoffs they might do better.
It's true that in the playoffs you need the ISO one-on-one players.
Let's go, Jimmy Butler to Minnesota. I mean,
all right, real quick, Harden did throw CP a 2-handed alley-oop.
No, you saw that, yeah. I mean, did you see CP? Chris Paul looked like Richie when he was dunking. Like when Richie dunks on an 8-foot, it looked just like that. But yeah, okay, Jimmy Butler to Minnesota. Okay, I mean, everybody had really high expectations for Minnesota this year. Obviously, they didn't pan out, but next year, I mean, you got Jimmy, so.
I mean, they got rid of Rubio, too.
Yeah, that's true. That's big. I wasn't a huge fan of Rubio on that team. David, playoffs or not?
For the Wolves.
Yeah.
They're in there.
They're in there, okay.
You don't add Jimmy Butler, who's arguably a superstar in the league, like, a fringe superstar.
Kind of, yeah, kind of fringe superstar.
I would say the Bulls didn't get a lot for him. If you look at it, Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and a 7th pick, who could or could not be good. But if he was going to leave anyway, it's tough. Not every team is like, does as good as Cleveland did with Kyrie. Like a lot of times when you trade a superstar with 1 year left on their contract, because the other team,
you take a slight L.
Yeah, because the other team doesn't even know if they're going to re-sign with them.
It's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, Wolves. I mean, any team that takes on a superstar in the last year, they're taking a shot because you have a superstar, but it could just be for 1 year. So we'll see.
All right, stacked rookie class this year. Who is your rookie of the year? Let's break down the Vegas odds. Vegas got the odds. Number 1, Lonzo. Number 2, Dennis Smith Jr. Number 3, Ben Simmons. Number 4, Markelle Fultz. Jason Tatum, number 5, and De'Aaron Fox at number 6.
Man, it is a big drop after the top 3. It's almost like you just got to talk about the top 3.
First of all, I think that if the media is not being biased, I think Dennis Smith Jr. has a good chance of winning Rookie of the Year.
Oh, I think he does. I just think it's tough because what I see Dennis Smith Jr. doing, like, I feel like Lonzo, if he averages even close to a double-double, which I think he could average 9 assists this season, 8.5 or 9. That way, because the thing is, his impact on the Lakers is so great already, just culturally. And yes, it's hype. It's definitely a lot hype. But he is changing. He's going to dictate the way they play next year. And that almost deserves Rookie of the Year by itself. And if they win even 35 games, 30 games, it's almost like, his impact on that team is so great. So I think Dennis Smith Jr. actually on maybe a different situation, he could win it. But I think Lonzo, just as far as impact, it's too great.
Knicks are stupid for not drafting Dennis Smith Jr., but he didn't want to be drafted by them anyway. He didn't submit his medical records to them. Anyway, bold prediction for the 2017 NBA season. I am going to say that the Houston Rockets are going to be worse than last season.
Maybe worse. Okay, that's a pretty bold prediction.
A lot of people think that's crazy because a lot of people think they're going to be, go to the Western Conference Finals. Now they got CP.
My bold prediction. This is even bold for me to say. I think Lakers are 9, scratching a 9 seed, which is not a seed, but it's 9 standing.
You think the Lakers are almost going to make the playoffs?
All right.
Just say it. Just say it.
Yeah, I'll say it. I'm just going to say it. I'm not even a Lakers fan, but I just think this year, I think it's definitely the year after, but this year I'll just say it. Yeah, 9. I think they will do better than everybody thinks. Anyways, all right, man. David, what time is it over there, man? You 3 hours ahead of me, huh?
It's 3:30.
Wow. All right. I got to get started on my day, but that was a good NBA update. That was a good Fung Bros talk about the NBA. Asian guys talk about the NBA coast to coast. Shout out to Skype. And David, I think we got to do this. I'm
excited for the season, man.
We're going to keep. Hey, I know we always say this, that we're always excited for the season, but I'm actually really excited for the season because things got shaken up. Things got shook up this season, and that's what I like.
You're in LA. Get ready for a lot of people becoming Laker bandwagon fans again. And then I'm in New York. Hey. I'm ready for more people complaining about the Knicks.
Yeah, and then
but never really blame Melo. People, especially if you're in the streets, people love Melo.
David, if they let Melo wear a hoodie this year,
averaging 30.
All right, but hey, you know me. I have been supporting Lonzo from the beginning. I felt like he had the tools. So we'll see how it turns out this year.
Let's see if he's like Penny Hardaway or more like Sean Livingston
or a lesser J Kidd. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching that Asian Guys talk about the NBA coast to coast. David is in New York. I'm in LA. We're going to keep up with the NBA, and it's just going to be crazy. So, everybody, thank you, and until next time, we out. Peace.